Well, we have new things. We have new things to me, a brand that I've never really tried before, but I've been excited to try. And so we're going to look at some things today from Chantecaille, as well as another look with the sort of quad of the season, which is that YSL Unexplored Garden. Their new blushes, they have 3 new shades of blush and a new shade of mascara, a green. And then I also picked up a few things here and there. So if that sounds good to you and you'd like to learn more about some of these brands, then by all means, please consider liking, subscribing, follow along, shopping my links and all that goodness. Unsolicited advice on Instagram and on YouTube. So Chantecaille. It's a brand that I've seen before, and I've always been sort of interested in, but it's always looked very pricey and a little bit sort of no makeup. And I recently saw Sophia Sees Beauty did, which if you don't follow her, please do. She's amazing. But she did a best and worst of Chantecaille. And she did it to coincide with their recent 35% off sale, I think. And so I thought, well, this is a great time to try it. And so I've been trying a few items. I didn't get very much, but just enough to try it. Items that she had recommended. And I can tell you right off the bat, I've really enjoyed it. So I did have a few items from Chantecaille from before. And the one that I have had and I adore, I have all 3 shades, is the Sheer Glow tints. I have the rose, the bronze, and the gold. These have been out. I know the rose has been out for at least a couple of years. The other 2 have come in as they've added like one every other year or so. These are beautiful by themselves. I like to use a little bit of a mixture of the gold and the bronze in the summer by himself, just to go to work or whatever. I'll just put those on and it gives just a little bit of a glow and a little bit of kind of a bronzy color. But then I don't put anything else with it. And I really love them. And they're an item that, although pricey, I think is really worth it. And every so often they'll do like 2-for-1s, like during the Nordstrom sale, or Chantecaille will have little bundles. And I really love that. I like all 3 of them by themselves or as primers under other makeup. They make a beautiful, glowy, natural, slightly tacky primer. I like the rose one is probably my favorite. I use that one more in the winter and spring. And then when I want just a little bit of color, I'll use the others. So that's an item from Chantecaille that I've always had. And so I've known that I've really loved those. But then Sophia was talking about some things that she really likes and some she didn't like. Some she didn't like really was their bronzer. She liked some of their eyeshadows, but not all of their eyeshadows. The lip, she liked some of them, but not all of it. The items that she really seemed to gravitate towards that she really liked were more like complexion based. So I picked up the newly reformulated Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation. I have mine in the color Macademia. I have the Chantecaille La Camoflage Stylo Corrector Pen. It's a concealer pen, and I have mine in the shade 2. They need more shades of this, by the way. There's not very many. And then I picked up 2 of their, what do they call them? They're like a blush, but they're the Cheek Gelee Hydrating Gel Cream Blush. And I picked up 2 of their new shades. They're all new to me, but 2 of their new shades, Thrill and Euphoric, which we'll look at today. And finally, I picked up one of their Liquid Lumiere Face and Cheek Illuminator highlighters, and I picked up mine in the shade Sheen. I don't believe this is a new product, but it's new to me. The other thing that she recommended, which was a big splurge, but I really wanted to try it because my skin has been so incredibly dry and patchy and flaky, particularly in here. And she recommended a mask that she uses once or twice a week at night before she goes to sleep. She recommended putting it on, 30, 40 minutes before you go to sleep, let it sit in, and then, sleep in it. And I will say I've used it twice, and almost all of that flaky dryness that I've had for almost a year is gone. And it is the Chantecaille Gold Recovery Mask. Ungodly expensive, but it has been beautiful, and my skin I don't think has ever felt better than it has in the 2 days that I've worn it, minus that pimple, which was there before that, so we can't be blaming Miss Chantecaille on that. So let's see. I'm going to start with a primer today, and what I'm going to do is I'm feeling a little pale, so I'm actually going to grab the bronze shade of the Sheer Glow Tint. And I'm just going to put a thin coating of that on. And it's going to look a little dark. But that's okay because we're going to cover it. What I do, like I said, when I go to work or whatever, is I mix this with the gold one. And it gives a beautiful, just subtle flush of color. But by itself, it's a little bit bronzy for me, but it works great under a product. So the foundation, I picked up mine in a new shade, which is Macademia. All of them, again, are new to me, but this is apparently a reformulation. It comes in a jar, much like the Chanel Sublimage, which I love. But one thing I noticed about this, that one's more fluffy and kind of like a cream, like a whipped cream kind of feeling, where this one is a gel and it's almost cooling when you put it on. There's something about it. It kind of reminds me of that same feeling you get with those Danessa Myricks sticks that she recently came out with. There's this beautiful cooling feeling that I've never experienced with a foundation before. And it gives a beautiful, natural, kind of skin-like texture to it. I have been really impressed with it. I'm going to New York at the end of the month for the US Open, and I'll normally bring a tint, like a Danessa Myrick skin tint or something like that. I'll probably bring the Merit one with the sunscreen in it for day. But for night, I think I might bring a little jar of this because this foundation is really beautiful. I thought it would be nice. I did not have any kind of notion that I would like it as much as I do. It is a light to medium coverage, but it can be built up slightly to about a medium coverage. But it has the most beautiful, natural, glowy kind of finish to it. I've got a little bit of redness on my cheeks, so I'm going to grab just a little bit more. Now, of course, the one thing that I don't necessarily like about it, and it's the same with the Sublimage, is that it comes in a jar. It's not as easy to transport as, say, the ones that come in a pump. But with this texture, I'm not sure it would come out of a pump. It's not thick, but it is a gel. And you can see that took down that little bit of redness I have. I'm really impressed with that texture and how beautiful it feels, how soft, and it really has this weird cooling sensation. Now, the Camoflage Stylo, again, they need more colors. I think they have 8 or 10. I got mine in the color 2, but this is similar to the YSL or the Victoria Beckham that come in these Stylo applicators. Some people really don't like them. I don't mind them. I'm just always worried that I'm going to pump it too many times and it's going to waste product. But we're going to try it here. This is a lighter, brighter color. than the foundation, but I think it will work well. Sophia was saying, and I think it's true because I've done some research online, that there's not a whole lot of press about this particular product. And I think it might be because they don't have a ton of color variation. But the few times I've tried it so far, I've enjoyed it. So let me grab a little brush. Do I have a little concealer brush? Yeah, I've got a B05 from Refer. So let's work this in just a little bit. And it's actually a really pretty color for brightening. It might be a little bit light, but I think it works really well for brightening. And it blends really nicely in. It's not a very thick concealer. It might be a little bit thicker than the Victoria Beckham, but it does have that kind of serum-y feeling to it. And I just put a little bit where I wanted just a little bit more brightness. Also, with those kind of pump clicky pen concealers, you want to use it all up. You don't want a big clump of it laying on the end of it. So sometimes you end up having a little bit extra, and you can put it here around your nose or any area that you want to brighten up, or that you have some discoloration that you want to cover. So far, that looks really beautiful. What I'm going to do is grab a small brush, and I'm going to grab a little bit of my La Prairie setting powder. Another item that's ungodly expensive, but I've never found a setting powder that's better. And I think it's really beautiful, and a little bit goes a long way. And I'm just going to put that under the eye and set this area. It is the finest, silkiest powder I've ever tried, and it does a really beautiful job of blurring and setting. It should, for the ridiculous price they charge for it. But occasionally, like Saks or Neiman or somebody will have a little sale, and 15% off cosmetics or something, and you can try it then and get at least a little bit of a discount. And you do get a large container of it, and you get a small sample size that comes with it. I have the shade 1, and it is the most blurring, perfecting powder, but it's light as a feather. I really like this foundation. Just what I needed, another foundation. There's been, Givenchy and Dior, there's been some really good ones this year. YSL has a new glowy foundation. This is not particularly glowy, it's more of natural, but it really took well to that powder and looks really beautiful with it. Okay, so that's set. So one item that Sophia was saying she was not a huge fan of was their bronzer, and so I did not grab that. I did grab the new Natasha Denona liquid bronzer, and it's been a product that I've wanted to try again. The first time I tried it, I liked it. I enjoyed it, but I thought I'd give it another try. I've been using that Farah Hamidi bronzer, the powder bronzer, so much that I wanted to try this and see it once again, how I liked it. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of it on the back of my hand, and I have mine in the shade Foxy Light. That can't be right. Foxy. That's me, Foxy. And I'm just gonna work this into the brush. It dries pretty fast, so I'm just gonna kind of throw some of this on. And I will say it sets fast too, so you want to work pretty fast with it. But I think it's self-setting, which is really nice. And if you end up getting a little too much of it, you can always go back in with your foundation brush. And in fact, that's probably what I'm about to do, just to soften those edges a little bit. It's a little warm for me, but I think it will work. I think it's a nice product. It dries so fast. It might be nice to mix with foundations. If maybe you have a foundation that's a little bit too light or cool, that might be a nice alternative. I haven't thought about that. Now, items that I picked up additionally from Chantecaille were their blushes. I think they have 6 of these. Whoa, why did that zoom all the way in? Y'all don't need to see me that much. Well, I apologize. My camera did something batshit crazy. I don't know what it was doing. It was spinning and it was going up towards the ceiling, and then it zoomed in really fast on me. It would show if it zoomed in that the pores are covered by the La Prairie powder, so I guess that's good. Anyway, I think there's 6 of these, and I picked up 2. These are 2 new shades. The first one is Euphoric, which is like a pinky coral shade. And I'm just going to show this one to you on the back of my hand because I don't think it will go as well with the look today. But it's a beautiful gel-like pinky consistency. I really like these. They kind of give that lit from within look. The other one I picked up is Thrill, which is kind of more of a bronzy color. I think that will go over well with the look today. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of put that out on my hand. And these are thick, and you would think because they're thick that they would have a lot of coverage, but they're actually really light and pretty when you put them on. They look pretty natural for a blush. Now, obviously, you could build them up, but that's not really what they're intent to be. They're a little bit like those Victoria Beckham water blushes that have recently come out, where they're meant to be more like a flush of color. I'm going to do just a little bit more, just so that we can really see the color. I probably would stop here normally if it wasn't on the camera, but the camera tends to wash me out just a little bit. So I'm going to grab a little bit more and go on this cheek. And you see how it just gives that kind of like flushed look? I think it's really pretty, and the finish is really beautiful on these. It's kind of glassy, but not shiny. I don't see any visible particles. This is more like a terracotta color, but I don't see any visible particles. It just looks really beautiful and glassy. Whatever is left, I'm going to throw up here. Okay, so we're going for a bronzy look today, apparently, between the Natasha and that. The last product from Chantecaille that I got to try was the Liquid Lumiere. I believe there are 3 of these. I probably should have got the gold if I wanted to go with this look today, but I thought that this kind of translucent pinky color called Sheen would be the best option. Now, what's funny to me about these is I don't see any visible particles when I put them on, but where everything else is very subtle, these are pretty blingy. But they're a beautiful, I guess I would say kind of lit from within, but more aggressive than the blushes. So I'm going to put a little of that on here. You can see how that really kicks up where that light is hitting. It's a cool product, and I don't see any visible sparkles, but it is certainly not necessarily like a subtle product, but it's beautiful nonetheless. And if you go overboard, you can always go back in with your foundation brush a little bit on the edges. But I think that looks really beautiful. Now, Sophia didn't really recommend, there were 1 or 2 lip products she recommended. I take that back. But it wasn't an area that she, at least from what I could tell, was really that excited about. So I recently, during the Nordstrom sale, picked up the Westman Atelier trio they had, which includes one of their lip glosses, a lip liner, and a lipstick. And so I figured I'd try that today. This is in their universal kind of bestseller, which is called Petal. So this is the liner in Petal. And maybe I should be using something a little warmer, but I really just wanted to try new products on today. These liners, I have 2. I have this one and I have Biscuit. I really do like them. They are pencils, and so you can get really detailed with them. So now in the lipstick, which I have a couple of these, but I've never tried this Petal color before, which is ironic because it's kind of their signature color. I'm just going to try that on. Like I said, it's probably a little too, well, it might work well. I'm trying to see what would work well with the Chantecaille that we have on, but also I'm gonna do another look today with the sort of quad of the season that everyone seems to be loving, which is that Unexplored Garden from YSL. The third piece of that set, which I've never tried before, is one of their lip glosses, and I just noticed on here it's in the shade Chow or Chou, I'm guessing. I wonder why they didn't do Petal. Maybe they just wanted it to be a little bit lighter. This is a lighter color than Petal. But you know, that actually might work out better with the look we have today. It feels really nice. Doing a lighter color gloss like that also makes your lips look a little bit bigger, so I'll take it. Okay, so let's look at that last YSL quad, the last one that came out, which was the Unexplored Garden. It came out with the red one as well, which I've already done a video on. You can look on here. But before I do that, I'm obviously not going to be able to try them on today because I have on blush already from Chantecaille. But I did want to show you the 3 new shades that have recently come out of the YSL blushes, which should be hitting the United States any day now. The first one is called Hot Mauve, and I'm not really sure why it's called Hot Mauve. It's pretty neutral, but it's a beautiful color nonetheless. Actually goes really well with that lip. The second one is the Magenta. I think it might be Mischievous Magenta. I'm not really sure, but something magenta, and it should be coming, like I said, to the US any day now. And it is not subtle. It's quite bold, but of course with these YSL blushes, they can be sheared out. And then the last one is the one I think that everyone's really excited about for fall, and that's Chili Crush, which is a red kind of, well, I was going to say orangey red, brick red, but it's really just a primary kind of red. And when blended out, it too can be really beautiful. So these are the 3 new colors of the YSL blushes. And again, they should be coming to the United States any day now. The other thing that should be coming is I'm a huge fan of the YSL Lash Class Mascara. They've had it in black and brown. And then last year they added a bright blue. And then this year they've added a sort of forest green color, kind of the color of my shirt. So that too will be coming to the United States soon, but I have it. So we're going to try it today. And we're going to try it today because I thought it would work really well with the Unexplored Garden quad. So everybody seems to be online loving this quad. So I wanted to try it again and do another look with it. I've already done one on here, but I wanted to try something a little bit different. And I thought today what I could do, I wanted to do kind of a light, more ethereal look. So I'm going to start on a Refer 01 with the tan color, which it's the one brown that's included in here. But it's a very neutral, light brown. Well, maybe not light. It's mid-toned, but it can be sheared out to be quite light. It's not overwhelmingly aggressive. And I'm just going to put that through the crease and up a little bit. And I'm actually going to put it under the eye too, because since I've already done that concealer, the eye is good to go. Same on the other side. I won't do one of those weird two looks today with two different palettes. I really just wanted to show you the new colors of those YSL blushes and then really go in deep on those Chantecaille products, which for the most part I really like. I would say the mask, obviously, and those like primer sheer tints I love. But of the cosmetics that I've tried today, they've been really beautiful. That foundation is a winner. It looks really beautiful. So I'm going to continue that kind of sheer wash under here with just this kind of tan khaki color. And like I said, I don't want this to be a severe look, so I'm going to try to keep it kind of light. On the outer third, I'm going to grab the metallic green color, and I'm going to do it on a fluffy brush because, again, I want to keep this look a little bit lighter. I want that sparkly topper shade to be the real star of this look. And of course that new mascara will be a star of this look too. But if you take these kind of metallic shades on a fluffier brush, you can get them to where they're not quite as concentrated. I'm going to grab my Pat McGrath Intensify wand because these sparkly topper shades in on the YSL quads do tend to be, they can be a little bit glittery and therefore can fall out just a little bit. So I'm going to put this down. And I'm really going to put this just all over the lid. I want this to be the star of this look. And that way we'll have a light green eye with that dark forest green mascara. So I'm just going to grab this sparkly shade on my finger because that's where you're going to get really good adherence. And it's a beautiful, it reminds me of a watered down version of Pat McGrath, the special shade that's in Bronze Seduction. It's a more subtle version of that. I shouldn't say watered down because this has its own look. I mean, it's meant to be more subtle, but it has a beautiful flip on it that maybe in the pictures at the end of the video you'll be able to see a little bit better. It has kind of a gold to green to silvery white kind of flip to it. Really interesting shade. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. It took us, you know, there were 4 quads in this series, and it took us forever to get the last 2 in the United States. And I actually ordered mine from overseas, and then lo and behold, the day, of course, that I got them, they came out in the United States, which tends to be the way that these things go. I think I've got, you know, some great new product that's not here yet. And then they come out in the United States. But now those YSL blushes, only one of those have come out in the United States yet. So that's why I really wanted to show those to you today. Even if they weren't on the cheeks, just so you could see them, because they will be coming to the United States any day now. I'm going to grab a little bit more of that light green color just for the inner corner. And I think that looks really beautiful. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to use a makeup remover, you know, a makeup change, magic change wipe to get the pigment off of it. And I'm just going to go along the edge here just to disperse some of that sparkle. But by doing it like this, it's not too dark of an eye. I think it looks really nice. I definitely can, and I think I did in my other video, go super deep, grungy, you know, fall olive green. But with this, I didn't really want to do that. Now, one thing I am going to do is grab a small, well, I say that if I can find it, I'm going to grab a small, like pencil type brush. In this case, I've got a Rever 26 with the dark olive green matte, and I'm just going to run that along the base a little bit and just create a tiny little bit of depth. But I'm not going too high up because, like I said, I want to keep this a lighter look because I really want you to be able to see the way the mascara looks. Because the YSL mascara is probably my favorite mascara. There's a lot I really love. I love Pat McGrath. I love Lisa Eldridge. But for drama, the YSL Lash Clash is pretty amazing. And I'm actually going to take just a bit of that and run it along the outer portion too. Just a little bit. I think that looks really nice. Now for the liner, I'm trying to think if I have a good green that could go in there. Actually, I think the Victoria Beckham, I think she's got some greens. YSL may actually have a green, and I don't know about it. I have one or two YSL liners. But I'm going to just grab, what's the color? It's that Victoria Beckham and olive. And so I'm going to run that along the bottom here. Not too far over. I'm not going to do the whole thing this time because I want to keep it a little bit lighter. So I'm going to do about half. And then I'm going to take the little sponge applicator that's on the bottom and kind of work that through. I don't want it to be overwhelmingly dark down there. I think that looks really nice. So let's curl the lashes with my Refer curler. And then I'm going to really go on thick with this new YSL green so you can see the color. Let me grab that. Let's see, so they have the blue, the black, the brown, and now they have the green. And I think it will go great with the Unexplored Garden. It really is the green pretty much of my shirt. It's interesting because I would think with this quad that this would be a little bit more olivey, like a more olive based instead of a less like forest green, but it actually looks really nice. So I'm guessing they know more about color theory than I do. And if you wanted it to be a little bit more olive, you could always, if it was too bold, go in with the brown and just lightly put a little bit of that over it at the end. or just do the tips in the brown or the green. I do that sometimes. If I want just a little bit of blue, but I don't want the whole lash to be bright blue, I'll do black and then just do blue over the tips. But I don't mind the green on this one. I think it looks really beautiful. I hope they come out with more colors of this. A burgundy would be nice. So there we go. I think that looks really beautiful. It's a big thumbs up on the Chantecaille. It's a pretty good thumbs up on the Natasha Denona bronzer. Still trying that one out. Of course, I love the YSL and the Westman Atelier products. Love the La Prairie. But the big discovery is the Chantecaille. I really like the products, particularly the skincare, the primer type sheer glow products, and then that foundation concealer is a really lovely product, the foundation in particular. So if you enjoyed this and you love a good green look, then give a comment, like, subscribe, follow along, shop my links, and I hope to see you again soon. Unsolicited Advice on Instagram and on YouTube. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.